Well, last thing before we get to our resident or our comic book showing and our special guest, let's
Yes.
talk about our classic movie review, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which I had never seen before.
Really?
Yeah, like I'd
Huh.
seen certain clips from it, but um, I sometimes have to realize that my family has interesting taste in movies. I mentioned I was watching like when my dad will like I'll sometimes say, "Oh, yeah, I'm watching X," and my dad will say, "Why?" And that was kind of his reaction to this one.
Like,
So it's like,
why?
okay, there's a reason this was not my one of my childhood staples, like it seems to have been for you.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah. Watched this quite a few times with my family. Although when I was younger, my parents would have to fast forward through a certain scene in the movie. Uh, if you know, if you've seen the movie before, it's the movie. It's the scene that earned the movie its R rating.
I don't effing know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a rare Thanksgiving film that is actually a Thanksgiving film.
Yeah. Which I'm not entirely sure why that's the case. I think it's because it's a uniquely American holiday, and I guess it doesn't play well overseas.
Yeah, also there's a level where Christmas has like a culmination event, like you can, or there's multiple ways to end a Christmas movie, and
Hmm.
it's like it's also towards the tail end of the year, so it lends itself more to like you know introspection and whatnot. Where Thanksgiving for a lot of people is just, well, going to add an extra 2,000 calories of pie and stuffing a day to my normal diet. See,
Yeah.
watch some football, see some family I don't like, and then go spend too much money.
Yeah. Pretty much. But yeah, so this movie is a classic 80s comedy, starring, as you can see, Steve Martin and John Candy. It was written and directed by John Hughes, um, who most people will remember from like Ferris Bueller,
Mhm.
uh, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles. He wrote Home Alone. Um, this is and he directed Uncle Buck, which is another movie with John Candy.
That one I have seen a bunch of times,
Yeah.
so I hope that redeems me a little bit.
Oh yeah, it does. Yes. This was actually the first movie that John Candy and John Hughes worked together. And their collaboration, of course, was pretty you know pretty well known. When the two of them worked together, it was like comedy gold. And and yes, Digito, yeah, this John Hughes movie.
I
Um,
didn't realize that Uncle Buck was too.
yeah, yeah. Um, but um, but yeah, so basic plot of the movie is Steve Martin is an ad executive from Chicago. He's in New York on a business trip a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and he's trying to get home uh, in time for the holiday. But bad weather keeps him from flying from New York to Chicago. Um, and of course, along the way, he runs into John Candy's character, who sells shower curtain rings,
And only shower curtain rings.
and only yeah, and
I
only
think he's
shower
like
curtain.
what the head of distribution for some territory or other.
Right? Yeah. um,
Yeah, so
and
yeah, it
yeah,
turns into a classic road comedy of the two of them trying to get Steve back to Chicago to see his family.
right. And of course, yeah, it's yeah, hijinks and hilarity ensues. And part of the whole comedy shtick of the movie is that Steve Martin's character is just a real uptight jerk.
Yes. Now I'll be fair, I can understand him in every single scene.
Yeah, I can too. Yeah, because a lot of things happen to him that yeah would irritate the hell out of me too.
It
Um,
would irritate a literal saint.
yes. And of course, and then John Candy's character is just he's good natured and charming, but he is really annoying.
He's a complete bore.
Yeah. Um, and
He's a slob. He tells boring stories.
yeah,
He won't shut up. He
right, yeah,
snores.
yeah. He smokes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, and so, but through the course of the movie, though, the two of them are basically kind of just. And no matter, and Steve Martin, by the way, he spends a lot of the movie trying to get rid of him, like he's trying to get
yes.
away from him.
But fate keeps bringing them back together
Yes, they end up spending the night in a really bad, a sleazy motel room in Wichita, Kansas.
a classic mistake, like starting a land war in Asia.
Yes. um, and then they hop on a train, and then they try to take the train to Chicago, but then the train breaks down, and then they end up on the bus, but the bus only goes to St. Louis, and yeah, and then uh, S- Steve Martin tries to rent a car in St. Louis, but then the car isn't there, and then that leads to, as I said, the aforementioned scene that earned the movie its R rating.
With an actress who I recognized as the secretary from Ferris Bueller.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah. Oh, and at the beginning of the movie, Steve Martin's friend from his work friend that he's talking to, or his friend's telling him, "Oh, just take the 8 o'clock to Chicago. You're not going to make the 6 o'clock flight." I don't remember the actor's name, but he played Ferris Bueller's dad.
Oh, okay. So there's a
Yeah,
few recurring people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. John Hughes. I guess John Hughes really liked working with the same actors. Um, and but yeah, so then but John Caney manages to get a car, and then of course it just gets really bad. And
Completely,
probably my yeah,
completed hell. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Uh,
my my favorite scene in the movie is when they end up driving the wrong way on the highway, and they're going in between the two semi trucks.
yeah, there were a lot of scenes in this where so I watched this in like a bad situation, by which I mean like I was watching it on a that's just a delivery, so I don't have to worry about it. Yeah,
Okay.
hooray for holiday shopping. Anyway,
Yes.
I was watching it on my iPad in my room as I was going to sleep. I but it kept me up, but like yeah, this isn't one that needs a great screen or great audio.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, it- but so yeah, so this one doesn't have a plot that you have to dig into as much because
Yeah.
it's a road comedy, comedy of errors,
Hmm.
situation based things. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I thought was interesting is that John Candy's character is objectively an awful person. Yeah, like he steals on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
Um, he that's one of the better scenes is when he's trying to raise them some travel money, and he has like his shower rings, and he keeps selling to people like, oh, these are you can use them as earrings. Oh, you girls look at least 18 when you're wearing those, and
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, this is a replica of this isn't the original ancient Chinese, of course, but this is a replica of an ancient Chinese artifact, and
Yeah.
uh, they just complete BS merchant, which is fitting of a salesman.
Right. Yeah.
Um, this one really just crystallized how Steve Martin's entire acting career could be summed up as jerk with a heart of gold that has to come out.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and in perfect John Hughes fashion, his comedies will, kind of like James Gunn, where his movies are funny, or they'll have comedic elements in there, but then they'll have like heart wrenching moments, or those moments of uh, what do I want to call it, heartfelt,
Pathos.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
drama or heartfelt. That's the better way. Heartwarming.
Heartwarming, yeah. And like the scene when Steve Martin's chewing out John Candy in the motel room, and yeah,
Darn it, most people like me.
he said, "I like me," yeah, yeah. And of course the ending of the movie, which I don't know if I want to spoil it or not.
Well, let's not.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is it's a fine. It's a one of my favorite comedies, I will say. And like I said, yeah, it's kind of a family, traditional movie that we watch in my family.
Yeah. Again, I had never seen it before. I had seen a couple of clips. Like, when you tell a story, try to have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I'd seen some clips out of context over the years. Yeah, I really enjoyed myself on this one. I will say that if I have like a little criticism of it, it's that after that highway scene, the rest of the comedy seems kind of like very tame scenes.
yeah,
Like, especially my favorite scene is when he's toward the end of the movie and he's trying to pay for a night at a hotel, and how he has to do it. I won't say, but it just had me laughing just because of how pathetic it was as he
yeah,
was as he was taking out his method of payment.
yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, Steve Martin. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. A Casio.
But yeah, yeah, if you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. It's streaming right now on Paramount Plus.
Hmm. Yeah. There's also I'm meaning to get it. They did a 4K release of this,
Oh,
and yeah, and it's got I think like 90 minutes of deleted footage on it.
oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been meaning to get that and watch it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I have any more to say about
Yeah, that's the thing about good movies and especially good comedies is that the less you have to say, it's more like it's less about breaking down why it does or doesn't work, like with Scott Pilgrim or Godzilla minus one. It's more about, hey, are you a comedy enjoyer? Have you not seen this movie? Get out there.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I recommend this too.
Yeah.